How you doing? This is Sideline, the NFL edition. It's me, Mr. Scott, Scott here, hosting this episode. I don't know if I'm going to host it again. I just got into an argument with our executive producer, so I don't know if it's going to happen again. But for today, I'm hosting. I'm here with my boy Jazzy. Jazzy, say what's up, man.
I'm good. What's up, guys? It's nice being here with you. My name is Odido too. I play flag football, and I was at the last NFL Combine hosted in Egypt.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. So you were at the combine. I was going to talk to you about that. Yeah, because we're here to talk football. We're here to talk local football sometimes, and we're also here to talk the NFL, right? So yeah, how was that combine? How was the experience?
I would say the experience in the Combine was pretty broad on my own ends because that was the first time of me like being on the NFL coaches. It was amazing. It was fun. It was educative,
Mhm,
and it put me to my limit. We had
mhm.
we did drills which were the 40-yard dash, the 5 by 10, the vertical, broad jump, and they were all pretty decent. Although I did them all in injury because of the last game I
So,
played.
so you had a little bit of a limp going
Yeah,
in, and then
yeah.
you ran a 4.3 on a limp.
3 for 3. I mean, between 4, 4, 4, 5.
4.445. That's pretty good. That's still pretty good. That's still pretty good. What would be your ideal position if you were playing in the NFL or any kind of organized football sport? Like, what would be your ideal position? So, like, if an NFL team wanted to pick you up now and they were interviewing you, what kind of position would you want to go for?
So my ideal position if I'm to play pro football would be either a running back or a DB. I would want to
A
say,
DB.
yeah, I want to say my primary position, which is the wide receiver, but then again,
Mhm. Oh,
it's gonna
you don't have them hands. Is that what you're saying? You don't have them hands, or you have them hands?
I do
Because
have them.
you
I
have
have
that, you have the hands. Okay, that's good. Are
yeah.
you more of a, if you're a DB, would you be more of a lockdown DB, like man to man DB, or would you prefer zone?
Both.
Both. You can do both.
Yeah, I've played both. I've played what's it called man-to-man defense
Mhm,
against people. I've played zone coverages, which is
mhm.
pretty intense because I see things from like bird's eye view from that position.
Okay. So you were saying that you could do both as a defensive back, you could play both zone and man. But naturally, which one do you like more specifically? Even though you can play both, like which one do you prefer more? Are you more of a zone guy because you can see it from the bird's eye view, or do you like to jam up the receiver and knock him off his route at the line? Which one do you prefer? You like that
Man,
second one? You like that physical?
I
Physical?
I like that. I like
Uh,
man defense, like
you
being
like
aggressive.
man? Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good. Just, I mean, the risk with man, if you have a route merchant, that guy will push you off your thing. But that's why you got to jam him, right at the line. A lot of times, what coaches say. But that's all good. Let's get into the games, man. There were a lot of games this weekend, a lot of nice games. I'm gonna say a few things before I start. I think the biggest thing was Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are gonna be Hall of Famers for sure. They played like it this weekend. They're exceptional, and the Bloody Giants still have not fixed any of their issues. And I mean, I'm saying this as a fan. It's just terrible. The Miami Dolphins are also in serious trouble. I think their coach is going to get fired. That's the way I see it. That may be an overreaction, but that's the way I see it. Anyway, let's go ahead and start. First game of the season was on September 4th, Thursday, the Dallas Cowboys at the Eagles in Philadelphia. It was the Eagles Flag Day. Flag Day basically is their day of celebrating, that they're defending Super Bowl champions. So they were waving everybody came with their, I guess, a specific type of jersey and came with the Eagles flags and whatever, and they were flying it all over that day. Well, you know what? Let me be honest with you. They almost lost Flag Day, right? The game did not start out right. The season did not start out right. The Cowboys came to play, and I think they might have seen my last video just yapping them about everything regarding the Cowboys. They traded Micah Parsons, the edge rusher, their top edge rusher to the Packers. And I was laughing. Everybody was laughing at them and saying that they were going to get steamrolled throughout the season. I think they heard that and they came to play. First of all, they got Jalen Hurts. That is, even though the Eagles won 24-20, they almost lost the game. The Cowboys got Jalen Hurts kicked off the field because he spat on their quarterback, Jalen Carter, and he's a big time. He was a big key guy in their defensive line, and he spat on the quarterback even before the game started. He got kicked off, and then after that, they could not generate any real pressure on the Cowboys offensive line. Saquon Barkley was a bit quiet in this game as a running back, but he caught a lot of balls from outside of the backfield. So he still made some key plays. I felt you could really see that Cowboys were missing Micah Parsons' pass rush, even though they got some pressure on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was always able to escape on the side where Micah Parsons would be pass rushing him from. So they kind of missed that. But all in all, I think that they played pretty well, except for the three key drops. I think CeeDee Lamb, their key receiver, that's the Cowboys' key receiver. He had like four drops, and three of them were key, and three of them would have allowed them get past everything and actually win this game. The Cowboys came to play, and they're not taking any prisoners. It doesn't look like they're taking any prisoners this season. So maybe trading Micah Parsons might have made them better. What do you think, man? How did you see the game?
So first off, before I say anything,
Mhm.
I want to comment on CeeDee Lamb's drops. In
Okay,
all
talk.
honesty, he dropped those balls, and
Yeah.
away in his position, I would catch them. Like,
Mhm. If you were in
like
his position, you would catch
oh,
them.
I would catch them.
Brother. Yeah,
I
yeah, okay.
like it's
Yes.
quite like I can catch them. So
Uh-huh.
CeeDee Lamb, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know if you had a bet outside the game, but you sold that game. But I was
You
actually
think
exposed to honestly. I'm also
uh-huh.
an Eagle. During that
Yeah,
game, I was side. So
yeah.
mm-mm.
Yeah, so you expected, yeah, you know what? Everybody was commenting on the fact that if you're being paid, CeeDee Lamb's not just a regular wide receiver, he's a playmaker. And so
Yeah,
they expect playmakers to make plays. You understand? So that
yeah,
kind of, and I mean, you got commentators like Shannon Sharp were saying this all the whole time. They were like, look, CeeDee Lamb, you're a playmaker, and you have to catch those big game balls. Like if those balls that other people are not able to catch because they're not playmakers and they're not being paid like playmakers, they expect him to catch that. Some of those
yeah.
other drops, actually, I would say, looking at them, two of them were very difficult catches. Yes, as a playmaker, you're still supposed to make them, but sometimes you can allow it. And then I think two of those other drops were actually very catchable balls. I agree with
Mm.
you on that sense. Two of those
You
other
know,
ones were just very catchable balls,
like
you
even
know?
the one with catchable and he didn't catch. I was taught in the NFL Combine that any ball around your perimeter
Yeah.
is catch.
Yes, of
As a
course.
yeah, as
Yeah.
a receiver, you
Yeah.
be able to catch it. That's what you're
Mhm.
paid. That's you should die for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really like
Yeah,
catch
but
it.
I think it's even bigger because he specifically is paid as a playmaker a lot of money. I think he's paid 30 something million a year. And look, mistakes happen. He admitted to it after the game. He said, look, I messed up. If that kind of stuff is not going to happen. And unfortunately now that he didn't catch those balls, the Giants are the ones who are going to pay for it though. Every ball that he's thrown in the Giants game versus the Giants, he's
Just hope.
gonna
I hope
catch.
that's up next this week because they have to just have to win.
Yeah, yeah. All right, some other key things. I'll run out some stats here. Jalen Hurts wasn't able to throw the ball that much. I mean, I think the league Eagles in general kind of looked a bit rusty, and their stats kind of show it. Even though they won the game because they're a top team with top talent, I think they looked a little rusty. Jalen Hurts had 62. He was their top rusher with 62 yards, and then he passed for 154 passing yards and two touchdowns. Saquon Barkley was their second leading rusher. He ran for 60 yards, and I believe he was their second leading receiver. He caught four balls for 24 yards, which is not very good, really. Those stat lines are not very good for the Eagles. But, we'll cough it up is the first game. Everybody says the first game is still kind of like a preseason game. Everybody's still trying to figure themselves out. As for the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb caught seven balls for 110 yards. But if CD Lamb had caught those balls, I mean, those passes were kind of long passes as well. Dak Prescott's stat line would have been much better because he didn't throw for any touchdowns. Neither did he throw for a pick. But, at least he kept the game close. And Dak Prescott looked very good in this game, which I was impressed by. And he's looking like, at least in this game, he looks like a top 10 quarterback. Now, I just want to say one thing. Again, we may be overreacting in terms of how well the Cowboys are playing, because I've seen teams who play very well in their first 3 games, and by their fourth game, they unravel completely because teams have figured out something with them, aka Saints from last year. They beat the crap out of the Cowboys in their second game last year by like 40 or 50 points, and then they didn't make the playoffs, towards the end of the season. They almost beat the Eagles, in fact, and then by season 5, when their quarterback got injured, they just completely unraveled. So this could be initial, as they say, initial gra by the Cowboys, but let's watch. They look very, 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 they gra may continue to the end of the season.
Fingers crossed, they give us like good plays this season because
Yeah,
they were different. But hopefully, I
yeah.
would want. The funny thing is, I would want to see them in the playoffs.
You want to see the Cowboys in the playoffs?
Want to see their performance in the playoffs.
I
That'd be fun.
wouldn't. I don't want them anywhere near the playoffs. In fact, I want every team that plays them to beat them by 100. I don't care. I don't like the Cowboys, but
Uh,
I can be honest and say they look pretty good. They look pretty good. All right, let's go on to the next game. The next game for us is game 2. This game was actually played on Friday in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It was Brazil. It was Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers, right? And the Chargers won this game 27-21, which was a surprise, but not entirely a surprise because if people watched my preseason games, I said the Chargers were a sleeper to win their conference, which is the AFC West. And I said they're a very good team because of their coach, Jim Harbaugh. He has won on the collegiate level. He took San Francisco back in the day to the playoffs. And I knew he was going to make this team better. I didn't think they would be that good this soon. Again, could be the initial gra. They could just peak in the season early, right? And again, the NFL games are 17 games, soon to be 18 games next year, right? So if you peak too early, that's not necessarily good. You understand? The best teams are able to peak at the right time so they can make the playoffs. And sometimes it's also luck, right? A lot of times now in the NFL, because of how evenly matched a lot of teams are, it's also luck in terms of that. So I saw them, what I saw from the Chargers that I was impressed by is they were able to get a lot of pressure on Patrick Mahomes, even though it
yeah.
wasn't so crazy, but they were able to get a lot of pressure on him. But outside of that, Mahomes still played pretty well. But the key thing was that the Chargers were able to get their receivers open. So what I saw and what I heard, what I thought I saw, because I usually can tell when defensive teams defense are playing zone defense, right? I felt that when I was watching the highlights, I felt, oh, it seems like the Chiefs are playing zone defense. That's why these guys are open all over in the middle, right? And apparently that's what they were playing. They were playing zone defense, and they did not expect the Chargers to pass the ball this much because the philosophy of Jim Harbaugh and his offensive coordinator Greg Roman, is run the ball. That's why they picked Amarion Hampton in the first round, their rookie running back. They got him in the first round. Plus, they brought in Najee Harris from Pittsburgh because their philosophy is run first. So nobody was really expecting them to pass the ball a lot. And apparently they went ahead and just started passing the ball all over the place. The Chiefs, the defense was not expecting that. They weren't able to also get pressure on the Chargers. The Chargers offensive line was incredible in this game. And then also for offense, the Kansas City their whole game seemed to have gone like, kind of like their game plan was to go deep, very deep. They wanted to go very deep this year, right? So they wanted to start out with that. That's why they drafted Xavier Worthy, the 40-yard dash record holder, right, with 4.21. They drafted him, so they wanted to start going deep with him, right? And they also wanted to go deep with Hollywood Brown. And Xavier Worthy was knocked out with a shoulder injury. Yeah, that
Kelsey,
you saw that, right? The collision with him and Kelsey. I felt something was telling me, Kelsey, did you do this on purpose so you could get more receptions on the team?
my own answer, like intentional, because why would you do that to your teammates? Like, why would you want
No,
or
no, you know what happened? Go ahead, go ahead.
they run the wrong routes? Because that's what
Yes, Kelsey ran. Did you see after that incident happened?
yeah.
With the collision, right? And also remember, Xavier Worthy is only 168 pounds, right? You're running, and you're not expecting you're now running into a guy who's 250 pounds or 240 pounds, and you're a buck 68, right? The 250 or 240 round guy in a collision is always going to win. You understand? And I was thinking that over the postseason that Xavier Worthy would go and bulk up and put on some muscle. Because if you're running a 4-2, right? 4-2-1, and you add like another 10 pounds, right? Which makes you 178. Yeah, then that means maybe if you get slower, you run a 4-2-8 or a 4-3. You're still fast as hell, right? So I felt like
Yeah.
he should have got added more. And I think this will make him go and start using steroids so he can bulk up a little bit. Because I mean, you can't be. But anyway, he got a shoulder injury from the collision, and he's out. Nobody knows when he's gonna come back. I think shoulder injuries, it's possible for him to come back before the season ends, but most of what they were gonna do with him in this season is done. And then they had Rashid Rice out for 6 games. So their whole so like with Xavier Worthy out, their whole game plan kind of shifted, but you saw they were still trying to go deep with some of their other receivers. Hollywood Brown had a pretty good game. He had almost 100 yards with 10 receptions. Kelsey was kind of quiet, didn't do much except for the one touchdown and the broken play. I don't expect Kelsey to do so much. Let's watch the season. He might get better, but the Chiefs were just unlucky in terms of their game plan was unlucky because they game planned wrongly, right? And also their player situation, their receiver situation is unlucky. I have some other thoughts about it, but I want you to go ahead and tell me what you thought about the game.
So first off, about the injury with their in quotes number one receiver or best receiver.
He's not really their I guess he is their number one. He's supposed to be
He's just quick.
number one-ish.
He can't go against what's this guy's name? Uh if Worthy is not like on their team,
Mhm,
they get changes. But then again, I expected more from City, to be honest. I expected more because first off, they have a good QB, they
mhm,
have Travis. But then again, the defense was good. Like I appreciate good defense. I saw what Chargers did. Like they played
mhm,
well.
mhm,
Their offense was good. You can't as a City fan,
mhm,
or if I were to be a City fan, I wouldn't
mhm,
expect them to play zone because it leaves a bit of open all day, every day. And
mhm.
the Chargers took advantage of that.
Yeah.
But hopefully, Xavier comes in like next 4 games. Like
Yeah, it's a
hopefully,
shoulder injury, man. We don't know. We've not heard anything yet, but I'm sure they'll let us know. It's possible that he can come back during the season, but I don't think he's gonna come back before 5 or 6 weeks, right? What did you think of Kelsey though? Kelsey, I want you to talk about Kelsey and his gameplay before I put my own 2 cents
trash.
in. Let's not say trash. He is an old man. He is an old man, and he just got married
Yeah,
to a billionaire lady. So don't let's give him some respect. He's an old man.
yes. But then again, like if you are old or if he's claiming to be old, you should give room for the young kids. But no doubt, like don't
Mm.
get me wrong, he's a good player. He has
Yeah, yeah.
contributed to plays. But his touchdown was very annoying because he
His
was
touchdown was very what?
annoying
Oh, it's because he was open, right?
and too open. Like I mean, all
Yeah,
he got was
yeah.
one touchdown. It's all right.
That was a broken play by the Chargers defense. They weren't really. I don't know what happened, but he just kind of slipped out. But I think that that's what they're good. You're going to see that more. And you're going to see this guy, their second tight end, Noah Gray. Noah Gray is a very good tight end. He will get a lot of those physical routes in the middle where you're likely to get hit. You understand what I'm saying? Like by linebackers and safeties. But what they'll do with Kelsey is they'll scheme Kelsey open. They'll find weaknesses in the defense and scheme Kelsey open. He's not going to take as many of the physical routes as if he doesn't need to. I mean, they will if they need to, like in the end zone and all that stuff, right? But they'll scheme him open a little bit more and put him in the backfield and move him around and stuff like that. One of the issues, I think, if there's anything that this game is showing them, the football gods are showing them, is the fact that I think they need to run the ball a lot more. They did have some running success with Pacheco in the game, but they didn't run him enough, I believe. And obviously, Patrick Mahomes was scrambling all over the place. He scrambled for about 54 yards and a touchdown. But teams know that he scrambles now. They're going to start gunning for him. You understand? They're going to start hitting him, and he might expose himself to injury. He has two very good running backs, Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. Use them as runners. Run the ball more because if you establish the run, you can pass the ball better. The problem with the Chiefs is everybody's figured out that they love passing to different people. Oh, they're a pass first team. So therefore, they're just focusing on pass rushing, right? But if you establish the run, if you're a running threat, then you can pass the ball, right? Whereas with the Chargers, it was the opposite in this game. Everybody thought that they're runners, so everybody was focused on the running game, and they didn't really try to get them on the passing game. You understand? And man, if you saw the way the offensive line was, the Chargers' offensive line was amazing. I mean, I'm sure you saw the game.
I
I
was impressed.
counted 4 seconds, 4 seconds each time he had to pass the ball. He had 4 seconds. That's like really good for a quarterback. You understand? That's like having all day, you know? And if he's passing in the middle, not deep balls, right? 4 seconds is even okay for a deep ball, but for a mid-level, like a middle of the field passing, you understand? Yeah, yeah. So it was really good. Anyway, let me just read out some of the stats from this game. I'll read out some of the stats. So the game again was 27 Chargers to 21. Key stats, key player was Quentin Johnston. Last year, just to let you know, in case you didn't know, I'm sure you know, Quentin Johnston was terrible. He couldn't catch any balls. He kept on dropping balls. He kept on running bad routes. But this season opener, he was the Chargers leading receiver with 79 yards from 5 catches. Then Lad McConkey, their leading receiver from last year, had caught 6 balls for 74 yards. Then now Keenan Allen has returned back to the Chargers and he caught 7 receptions, I believe, for 68 yards. So that was pretty good. Then on the running game, they had a decent running game. They had a Marion Hampton in his first game. He looked pretty good as a bruiser, but I think he needs to work a little bit on his vision a little bit because there were some runs that he had he should have got more yards on, but because he ran, yeah, he didn't follow the blocking well. He kind of ran into his own people or something like that. But he ran for 48 yards from 15 carries. I believe he's a real legit bruiser running back. But I believe as the season goes on, it's gonna be more him splitting time with Najee Harris, right? Who's also a very good running back. Then on the side of the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes threw for 258 yards and 1 touchdown, while Justin Herbert threw for 313 yards and 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions for both guys. Patrick Mahomes ran for 15. He was their leading rusher in Kansas City, ran for 57 yards and 1 touchdown, while Pacheco ran for 25 yards and 0 touchdowns. See, that has to change. He has two really good running backs. He needs to use them a lot more. Andy Reid needs to run the ball a lot more. Go ahead.
I like Isaac. He runs aggressively. He
Oh, yeah.
runs like He runs like a crazy man.
Yeah. I love him. I love him. I love the way he runs. He runs angry, but
Yeah.
he also gets injured quite often, so he needs to watch that, right? I feel like he needs to measure his aggression when he's running so that he doesn't get as injured. He's injury prone every season. Whenever he's about to get up to 1,000 yards, he gets an injury and then it takes him out for the rest of the season. He can't get that. But I expect a lot more out of him this season. And I think that he's going to share a lot of the burden with Kareem Hunt this year. So he should be pretty good. And the Kareem Hunt's a very good running back as well. Look, he was there when Mahomes first came in, and he had 2,000 yard rushing seasons before Mahomes joined. So he's a pretty good running back. So I feel like they need to get more of a balanced offense in Kansas City so they can win games. If not, they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl, I don't think. Okay, so that's it for that game. Let's go to the next game, the Bucks versus the Atlanta Falcons. And this was a bit of a nail biter and a little bit of a defensive game. I was surprised by it. It was at Atlanta, which for the Falcons meant it was obviously a home game. And the Bucks won 25. They won by 2 points, which was 25-23. And yeah, again, like I said, it was a nail biter, and I was very surprised by how how defensive the game was and how the Buccaneers, because usually last year the game between the Buccaneers and the Falcons was a very pass heavy offensive game, but this game was not really like that. I was happy about my boy Emeka Ibuka from
Yep.
Ohio State getting a lot of getting in the end zone and being the lead receiver for the Bucks, you know what I'm saying? And finally, Baker Mayfield was able to make some last minute plays. And I don't want us to stay too much on this game, but then also the running back for the Bucks was a key factor. He was really good. I think he almost ran for 100 yards. I liked him a lot. He was good last year. He ran for 1,000 yards last year, and this year he's looking to continue that streak. And I was impressed with Michael Penix. He played well, but they just weren't able to finish, score a touchdown when they needed to score the touchdown. I thought that he wasn't really able to get his receivers open, but I feel like that was more of an offensive scheme from the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. So I felt that was a bit weird. However, their defense playing pretty well it surprises me, but doesn't entirely surprise me because they had a lot of they drafted two pass rushers. So you could see some of that influence in their game against the Buccaneers. Only issue is that their scheming in offense was not so incredible.
I feel like for the Falcons, Michael played a decent game, and like you said, this is their first game, and I was even judging them. I'm like, that was a great game, but
Yeah.
during the mid-season, maybe say let's say week 5 or week 6, they'll
Uh-huh.
pick up have a better game because from what I saw, they lack a bit of like team offensive chemistry in the
hmm
game.
hmm hmm
Fingers week 5, week 6, their chemistry.
Yeah. I don't know how much he played. To be honest, I do not know how much he played in the Drake London, the Falcons key receiver. I don't know how much he played in the preseason, but he did not look that great by the numbers. Matter of fact, their leading receiver for this game was Bijan Robinson. He played incredibly well as a receiver. 6 receptions for 100 yards. That was great, and 1 touchdown. And that's the only touchdown Penix could actually get into the end zone. Everybody else, the tight end, Michael Pitts, he did okay, but couldn't get in the end zone, which is key. Ibuka caught 2 passing touchdowns because he got 4 receptions for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, Bucky Irving did all right for the first game, but again, the Falcons' defense was very, very very strong. I like Penix. He passed the ball all over the place. He threw for almost 300 yards. He just could not find the end zone. And I think that that's an issue again with the offensive coordinator and play calling they're doing. But they'll figure it out. The Falcons are looking a lot better this year on the defense than they did on the offense on the defense last year. They were wide open last year. Now, again, this could be game one of the season. That could be completely different by week five. You know what I'm saying? They could end up being worse and be completely open. And I'm hoping that by the time they play the Giants, that's the case. But
I feel like in week two, let's say this week, I feel like if the Falcons lose again, and I feel like Michael he'll sink down. He'll
you
sink
mean in
down.
terms of his confidence?
Yeah. If they lose for like three straight games, he'll sink down.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, they prep these guys mentally, so they should be able. These guys are competitors. Nobody wants to have a loss. I feel like the Falcons, if they don't, um, if Penix is not playing well throughout the season, they have a backup quarterback that they can bring. So, but I think that even if they're not doing that well, I don't think they're gonna give. As far as Penix is playing fairly well, even if he's not scoring a ton of touchdowns, I feel like they'll blame that will be more a thing unless it's obvious that Penix just doesn't know what to do in the red zone, then it might be the blame might be placed on him. But I think that looking at this game, it seemed like it was more of the play calling that was coming from the coaches, right? I feel again like I feel that they will figure that out as the season goes along, right? I think right now they're just, like you said, trying to figure themselves out. Let's go to the next game. Game four. This one is of some significance now. Now I'll tell you why it's of some significance. It's because of the quarterback and this team. These team are two Ohio teams. They are both in the state of Ohio, which is the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. They're both in the state of Ohio, and Joe Burrow has before this game. First of all, there's two contexts here. One, Joe Burrow has never beat the Browns since he started his professional career. He never beat the Browns, and it's because they're two teams in the same conference and also in the same state. There's a big rivalry, so they play each other twice in the year. So they're going to play each other again later on in the year. In all those times that Joe Burrow has played the Browns, I think he's never beaten the Browns, or maybe beat them once, but they've beaten him most of the time. And also, secondly, the Bengals never win their first two, 3 games.
So this is a miracle.
Yeah, yeah. So they had to win this. They had to win this game, and it was a nail biter. And it's a close game. That's the way it's supposed to be if you're state rivals and also conference rivals. It was 17-6. The Bengals beat the Browns. And I'll be honest, I was impressed with the defense of the Bengals. I did not expect their defense to hold up. It could also be the fact that the Browns just don't have the greatest offense yet, right? They have offense that's still trying to find key players to or key playmakers. And again, it's the first game of the season, so the key playmakers may still come. I think that could be a factor is that the Browns' offense is not incredible yet, right? They still have a little ways to go. But what was surprising was how the Browns' defense was able to shut down the Bengals' offense, which is supposed to be top three in the league. You understand? They have the top wide receiver duo in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and also they have the top five quarterback in Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is, and if he plays very well this year, and the Bengals win a lot of games, or win above 11 games, or 11 and above, I'm telling you that Joe Burrow will be an MVP finalist this season.
Want to see him like I want to see him become an MVP because to be honest, he's very good. Like
Yeah.
I have seen him go like beast mode. Like he's very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he and him and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, they essentially rip teams apart. So it's always like who scores last when you're playing the Bengals, right? The Bengals are that kind of offense. Like, okay, whoever scores last, and their defense is never really that good. So you're always able to score on the defense, but the offense will always be able to score on you because the offense is that good, right? And no defense holds them down. But the Browns said no. And Joe Burrow and T Higgins and Jamar Chase, you guys are not going to beat us today because I think Joe Burrow only threw for 113 yards and he threw for four. His completion numbers were 14 over 23, and he threw for only 113 yards and one touchdown, three sacks, which is actually low for the Browns because the Browns have a very good pass rush team, pass rush duo there with Miles Garrett and some other guys. They have very strong pass rushing guys. So yeah, T. Higgins was the leading receiver with three receptions, leading receiver on the Bengals with three receptions for 33 yards, while Jamar Chase only caught the ball twice for 26 yards. And so they didn't really get anywhere with the passing game. I mean, it was a really rough game. Whereas on the Falcons, on the Browns side, Joe Flacco played pretty well, but he threw for two interceptions. I think that's probably why they lost the game. Those two interceptions that he threw for 290 yards, but then threw two interceptions and threw for one touchdown. Now, that's not surprising for Joe Flacco. Everybody knows he has a big arm and he loves to let the ball loose. But the problem with Joe Flacco is he's just a hell of a risk taker. You know what I'm saying? That is the
I mean,
issue with him.
as a football player, I take risk. Like you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
never.
yeah. That is true. That is true. It's just that I think that as he's gotten older, he's more like I just don't give a crap anymore. I'm just gonna keep throwing the ball wherever. I'm gonna throw those deep balls because it's more fun, which is what we want to see, That's what we want to see. So, I'm not gonna, besmirch him for that. But the issue is that when you do that, you sometimes put if your objective is to try to win some games, you kind of put your in a quagmire at times. But anyway, look, he didn't play too bad. Besides the two interceptions, I think against well, this was supposed to be a lesser defense, so I hope he doesn't do that against other defenses. But actually, this year, most Browns fans have written off the fans don't expect anything from the Browns this year. They just want to see some improvement and have an idea of where the Browns are going to go in the future. That's it.
I mean, I was just my eyes were on the bar all
Joe
day.
Burrow, really?
That's
He
all
didn't
I
do
know.
much though. He didn't do much, buddy.
I like watching their game, but this particular week I was like less interested. I was more focused on what's it called? I was more focused on the Eagles game. I was more focused on the Giants game. The
We're
Giants,
coming to the Giants. Don't worry. We're coming to the We're coming to the Giants. Yeah, Burrow. It's uncharacteristic of him to have these numbers. But they won, so that's a good thing. And that is what a lot of people are like, you know what, the numbers don't matter so much, which is true. The numbers don't matter so much. The fact that they were able to eke out a win and start on a good level, even if they lose the next two games, they'll still have a high from winning their first game and beating the Browns. So okay, let's go to another team. I think the next team is the Miami Dolphins versus the Indiana Colts, and the game was in Indiana. I believe the temperature was about 50 degrees, and I'll mention 50 or 60 degrees that day, but I'll mention why that's relevant against the Miami Dolphins a little bit later. The final score was 33-8, which is probably the highest blowout that happened. Not the highest scoring game, but the highest blowout weekend. And yeah, Miami didn't look very good, man. What do you think? I have a lot of things to talk about, but I want you to say your points first, Jazzy. Like, what did you think of that game?
I mean, is the fact that they were not able to score till like the fourth quarter. That was very terrible. I don't know
Yeah.
if it was because of team chemistry or overthrown passes, but I didn't see any connections with the Miami. And I feel like they also underestimated their opponents,
Yeah.
honestly.
I feel like the whole Miami situation, this is an overreaction because it's beginning of the season. For them to have lost this badly to the Colts, the whole thing, and everybody was complaining, about Miami last season. Did you know that last season, at the last game of last season, Tyreek Hill quit the team? He said he was out. And then this postseason, after he's had like a whole bunch of issues where he's had a divorce with his wife took half his stuff, and he's been living in Miami. He's from Florida, right? He's from Florida, and he had the issue with the police beginning of last season. So from a Tyreek Hill perspective, I here's the truth. I think the whole thing should be blown up. Their coach is no longer connecting with the players. They no longer respect him. That's Mike McDaniel. I was actually surprised when he got into the team the first time, when he became the coach the first time, that he was actually able to connect with the players that well, like, in the beginning, because he's a very new age type coach, right? He's not a very he's not a disciplinarian, okay? He's a very laissez-faire coach. Oh, you do what you want, but this is our package, this is everything, and that thing only works for a while till team, players like these guys are grown men. They start looking at you like if you're not stern to a certain degree, they start looking at you like, oh yeah, whatever, you're a pushover. I'll do whatever I want, right? So the team is not responding to him like the way they should anymore. Tua Tagovailoa, their quarterback, just is a concussion magnet. Okay, and every time he plays, people are like holding their breath. Oh God, if he gets hit, is he going to get another concussion? Then also, Tyreek Hill does not want to be there. He already asked for a trade by the end of last season, but some things happened. I'm sure his agent sat him down and said, "What the hell did you do that for? Like, you can't afford to lose this money that's on the table. You understand what I'm saying? You are you crazy? Go and apologize to them." And he went and apologized during the Super Bowl and said, "Hey, I'm still on the team. We're gonna work things out." And then he was the captain's armband was removed from him the beginning of this season, and the teammates, your teammates are the ones that vote who the captains are, and they're usually six captains, and they just removed the captain's armband from him. They're like, "Nah, you're whack." So he doesn't want to be there. He's a very talented, obviously a very talented receiver. He should be looking for his agent to get him out of there in the next 4 or 5 games, so he can go somewhere else that's actually competing. Maybe go back to Kansas City. Go back home where you won your Super Bowl. Go back to Kansas City. That's where he should go. Kansas City is looking for receivers now. Go and give
Yeah,
him a good deal. The problem is all that money that Miami is paying him, they're not just going to let him go like that. Kansas City is going to have to pay some big money. But here's what I think. If he doesn't get a trade now, which a place I feel like he could go, they're all cold regions. He can either go to the Buffalo Bills, where they need a speedy receiver, even though they won this weekend. Imagine Tyreek Hill with them, and then they always have a huge rivalry with Kansas City. And I know that Tyreek Hill's been trying to get back at his Kansas City people, right? Because for some reason, if you look into the whole thing, there's a underground beef. He would like to go back to Kansas City. To be honest, he actually enjoyed his time there, but he wouldn't mind going to a team that's competing for that. And the best place I think for him to go right now, where he would get all the respect, is Buffalo. But nobody's trying to pay what it's worth for him to get out of his contract this year. So he's probably going to have to ride it out this year and go to a team next year, or ride it out till the end of the season. And maybe when Miami has 4, 5, 3, 4 games left and they're not going to the playoffs, because I don't think they're going to the playoffs. As I see it now, I'm overreacting, but I do not think they're going to the playoffs. Again, like I said, first game of the season, anything can change. Don't quote me on that. But as I see it now, from all the talk before the beginning of the season, end of last season, they're not going to go to the playoffs, I don't think. And I don't believe every player that is their key player is injury prone. Injury prone. Devon A-Chain, injury prone. Tyreek Hill, now that he's aged, injury prone. And he's injury prone because they keep giving him these, like they're not giving him the deep balls that he should be going for. They keep giving him these routes where he'll get into a lot of contact. He can't take it anymore like that because he's like 31, right? Then the other guy, Jalen Waddle, had to leave the game, injury prone all the time. Jalen Waddle's their second receiver, always injury prone. They don't have a real good third receiver per se that I can think of. They have a decent tight end in Gesicki, so that's their third passing option. Then Bradley Chubb, injury prone. Used to be very strong at Denver, but injury prone now that ever since he's been to Miami, too much of that Miami sun and Miami women is getting to his bones. He can't stay healthy anymore. And then Tua Tagovailoa, obviously their main quarterback injury prone. I think they need to just destroy the whole, and I call it the Tua project because it was Tua. They were talking about tanking for Tua back when Brian Flores, when he was the head coach for them, they were tanking for Tua. Tua came there. Brian Flores was trying to mold him to a specific kind of quarterback, and I don't think he was a good fit for Brian Flores. But ever since they tanked for Tua and brought in Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane, and all these other guys, I don't think Mike McDaniel and Tua project has worked. They should also fire the general manager Chris Greer because I don't think he's that good. So get rid of Chris Greer, get rid of the coach, get rid of all these guys. Maybe trade Jalen Waddle to another team. You can trade Jalen Waddle to freaking a team and they'll give you a good set of draft picks, like some second round draft picks or round draft picks for him or first round draft pick. You trade Tua to another team, get him because you saw receivers there for one that are young. They're not going to be injured all the time. They're always going to be available, right? Don't trade Devon Achane because Devon Achane is okay, but I don't think he's a first. He's a first. He should be your premier running back. You need a more of a traditional bruising running back, for your premier running back because Devon Achane is a speedy running back slash receiver. Put him outside, put him in the wings, whatever. Anyway, with the Colts, I was very impressed with Daniel Jones, how he played, and he has a lot of weapons. He's got Jonathan Taylor, and he's got this rookie DJ Goddins who played very well, so rookie running back, ran a lot, and then he's got great receivers. He's got Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman. He's got Tyler Warren, who's now a security blanket for him at tight end, and then he's also got Adonai Mitchell. All very good receivers, and all very good receivers that can do stuff for him. And look, the Colts, their offensive line is looking very good. They may be able to be a dark horse for the AFC South. Now, in the AFC South, they have the Texans, the Jaguars, and the Colts and the Titans. So the Titans are not going to go to the playoffs. We're going to talk about their game in a second. They're not going to go to the playoffs. They have a rookie quarterback. They have a lot of stuff to fix and work on there. But the Colts are, if they keep playing like this and winning teams that are not tough, and that's one of the knocks on the Dolphins is they're just not a tough team. When things get tough, when things are not free flowing for them, they can't play. But the Colts look like a dark horse team to win the AFC South.
I was really impressed by their play offensively. And for the Dolphins, their defense needs to fix up offensively. They also need to fix up. But the Colts winning their conference will be interesting to see.
We're a bit far from that though, but I think that they're going to be pretty good. With the Carolina Panthers, were you able to watch this game or see the highlights? What do you think about the game?
Honestly, in as much as the Jags were meant to win, but I was expecting a very tight scoring points.
What did you expect the score to be?
20-26 or 20-25 or 20-23.
You expected the Panthers to score a little bit more, right?
The fact that they didn't score in their second quarter and third quarter.
I looked at the highlights. It didn't look like the Panthers picked up from where they left off last season. The Jags look like a much, much better team. And I'm not panicking yet. Based on the draft and the offseason, I expected the Panthers to come out a lot stronger. Jaguars have had a decent roster for a while. They've been underperforming for the last few years. So that's actually been the issue with the Jags is they've been underperforming. But based on the Panthers, what they did in the offseason, I expected them to play a little bit better. However, I was happy that their rookie, Ted McMillan, the wide receiver, came in and put his stamp on the NFL early because he came out. Well, I mean, he didn't receive for 100 yards, but he was the primary receiver. He caught 5 passes for 68 yards, 0 touchdowns, unfortunately, but that will come soon enough. I guess I was less impressed with the way Bryce Young played. But he was also under duress a lot, even though he didn't get sacked a lot of times. And he's a short quarterback, so if once the pocket starts collapsing, he
Good
wants to
vision.
get out. Yeah, yeah, it blocks his vision. So he wants to be able to roll out. And you also see that with him and guys like Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. Once that especially for shorter quarterbacks, once the interior starts collapsing, you're done, right? Because then all your vision, anything, that's an immediate thing on you. Trevor Lawrence didn't get sacked at all. So I don't know what, these guys, Panthers drafted 2 pass rushers who were supposed to be very good. However, I was impressed with Travis Etienne. Now, Travis Etienne, the running back for the Jaguars, he's a very good running back. The problem I have with him is he'll do all this stuff at the beginning of the season, have great numbers, and then he'll get injured in the 5th game or 6th game of the season, and he's out for the rest of the season. So he's a terrible guy to have on fantasy football. I had him on fantasy football 2 years ago. He made me lose money. I'm never going back to him again. But the truth is, he's an explosive running back. However, I think that if he does get injured this season and is not able to perform much, they have Tank Bigsby actually just got picked up by the Eagles because their second string running back got injured. So the Philadelphia Eagles now have Tank Bigsby. But there's Bishal Tutin, who is a backup, who can be a good backup for Travis Etienne. Although Bishal Tutin is more of a speedy running back. He's less of a Trevor Etienne like type running back, which is a third down running back. But I think Tank Bigsby going to the Eagles is very good because that brings a different type of runner to the Eagles thing and covers that. Their top receiver last year, Brian Thomas Jr., my guy, who's on a lot of my fantasy leagues, only caught 1 pass, which I'm upset about, but hey, it's all good. And then our boy, Heisman winner, Travis Hunter, caught 6 passes for 33 yards, which is not bad, And then Travis Hunter also played on defense where he had one tackle, but remember that he's a cornerback, he's a slot cornerback, so he might not get a lot of chances to tackle a lot. So, but that's good. So Travis Hunter is getting in the mix of the game, and the Jaguars look like a good playoff team. They look like a decent playoff team.
I expect max 5 picks from Travis Hunter.
5 picks.
Yep.
That's your prediction.
Yep.
Okay, we'll hold you to that. Executive producer, please keep that in mind. He said 5 picks. We'll hold him to that by the end of the season.
5 picks.
We'll go on to the next game. The New England Patriots versus the Raiders. Another kind of surprise game for me. I didn't expect that the Raiders would be this good defensively so early. Last year they weren't that great defensively. Both the New England Patriots, I liked what I saw from Drake May. I mean, they could tweak on some of these. Again, it's about trying to ensure you get a touchdown at the right time. I was surprised that both teams' running games were crap. Both teams' defenses were pretty good. The defenses did well against the run, but not so good against the pass. But they did generate a lot of pressure. Both teams generated a lot of pressure against themselves because both teams, got 4 sacks against their quarterbacks as well each, right? And New England was home. I didn't expect them to lose this game because I didn't expect the Raiders to be this good this early. Even though their coach is an amazing coach, that's Pete Carroll. I kind of expected them to, just kind of, have a few more struggles. And I expected a lot more out of Ashton Genty. What did you think about this game?
My take on this game is very simple. Like I've always been a good fan of Maxi, like the white dude on Raiders.
Okay, Max Crosby.
Yeah, he plays like in my opinion. His defense is crazy. I love him.
Yeah.
So from watching him, he gives me hope that he can put the defense on check.
Yeah, he had one sack this game.
Yeah.
He had one
So
sack this game, so he was, and he had a one tackle or two tackles uh, for losses and two quarterback hits and several pressures. So you're right, he's a great asset to the defense. That's why they made him at one point in time the highest defensive player during the
yeah,
offseason. Highest paid defensive player during the offseason till Miles Garrett and Micah Parsons, trumped that. With
yeah,
them.
and like you said, this game was like it was filled with like a lot of like passing. It was a passing game.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. It was.
yeah, and the defense were solid to be honest.
Yeah, the defense was pretty good. I was surprised at how good they were. Both teams were able to get. Well, maybe the Raiders not so surprised. With the Raiders against the Patriots, I expected the Patriots because of who their coach is, Mike Vrabel, to run the ball a lot more. I think a lot of these coaches who usually are known for a certain style of football, running the ball, they're starting to be like, oh, you know what? I want to diversify now. Even Pete Carroll is known for running the ball a lot more. That's why he picked Ashton Genty in the first round. I'm going to make a couple of comments about Ashton Genty, and I'm going to be honest about it. As a running back, like he had a couple of plays where he just got, stuffed in the backfield. I thought he would have a lot more, not contact, bounce ability, his ability to bounce off players on hits in the NFL. I thought he would have better vision in his running. His vision is okay, but I thought it would be better. I just thought that he would improve a lot better because I feel like the Raiders' offensive line is not that terrible at running the ball, or is not that terrible for running. So I expected maybe, just a better performance from the guy because his performance today was basically he had 19 carries for 38 yards, and that's two yards per carry on average, and that's not very good. But if you look at the other side, I felt like New England just didn't run the ball enough, right? Like their own rookie, Travion Henderson, they just didn't use him enough in the run game. So he had 5 carries for 27 yards at 5.4 carries for 5.4 yards per carry. They used him a bit in the passing game, which is what they said they would do, but I just felt like they didn't use him enough. And I was happy to see Stephon Diggs get some passing games, but he opened up the field for guys like Keyshawn Butte, who caught 6 passes for 103 yards with the Patriots, and then Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is look, he was my fantasy X factor last year. For some reason, when he was a rookie, I knew he was going to throw for 1,000 yards, and I picked him in all my fantasy football games. And I kept on winning against every tight end because this guy is incredible. He's a big receiver playing tight end. He caught 5 balls for 103 yards. Everybody knows he's there. I don't know why they're not covering him, but the guy is like Travis Kelsey reincarnated. The guy is really good. Not much of a factor in blocking. He blocks well enough, but he's not like a great blocker, but he's an amazing receiving tight end. Jacoby Myers got his revenge on his old team because he used to be a Patriot. Now, ever since he came to the Raiders, he started playing pretty well, and I think he's going to do pretty well. Jack Betch, who is a rookie who everybody was talking about, I thought he would do a lot more. Didn't do much. Deontay Thornton Jr., though, this guy was making a lot of waves in the Raiders preseason camp. And, in this game, he showed he could catch the ball pretty well. He caught 2 passes for 45 yards. I think he's going to do a lot in this season. And, the Raiders are looking a lot better than I expected them to look. And they look like an AFC West team that's ready to play ball. So whenever they play the Chiefs or anybody else in the AFC West, if they don't win, they're going to make it a close game. So the AFC West, it's officially my first strongest conference in the NFL right now. Next game, the Arizona Cardinals were at New Orleans playing the Saints, and this was a close game as well. I felt like the Cardinals should win this game, and they won it. However, I felt like the Saints played better than I expected them to. I felt like if my Giants had played like this team, I'd be happier about the coming season. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, New Orleans, yeah, there were plays to be had. They should have, I mean, they played better maybe because it was a home game, and there were plays that they should have taken. But I think that they played better than I thought that they would. I thought they were going to roll over and die, but they're NFL players. They don't just roll over and die. This is not college football. So another interesting thing is that New Orleans was able to get a lot of sacks on Kyler Murray. 5 sacks. They sacked him 5 times. And I think a lot of that came from Cameron Jordan, got 1.5 sacks. Granderson, I believe he's a D tackle as well. He got 1.5 sacks. And Pete Warner got 1 sack, and then Alontae Taylor got another sack, got 1 sack. So they got a lot of sacks on the Cardinals, whereas the Cardinals only got 1 sack on the Saints, which is weird. Even though Spencer Rattler, the Saints quarterback, was under some sort of distress, but he looked fairly competent and he looked like he managed the game pretty well. Because he kind of knows that his offensive line can't give him a lot of time, so he just managed the game pretty well. And I was impressed with the Raiders' rushing attack. I think the sophomore running back, Trey Benson from Florida State, he didn't make so many waves last year, but I think that this year he's going to make a lot of waves. That's the Cardinals running back, Trey Benson. He ran for 69 yards and 8 carries. Even though he didn't get a touchdown, he was pretty good. Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that when I was watching this game, I noticed that there's still a lot. Kyler Murray, I think the biggest issue with the Cardinals is Kyler Murray is very inconsistent. And also, he doesn't have a lot of chemistry, natural chemistry with Marvin Harrison Jr. He doesn't have a lot of natural chemistry with Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay. And I think that that's a big issue here. He's got to have, they were supposed to build chemistry in the offseason, but I think maybe they'll build chemistry as the season goes. Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. have to be on the same page. What do you think about the game?
I don't have like people I'm supporting in the game, but from what I saw, I wasn't really impressed with the Saints running back.
Alvin
Although,
Kamara?
yeah, although he had 1 touchdown. I expected more because I knew him to be an aggressive runner. Even with their tight end Johnson, Johnson, he was there in the game, but he didn't show up.
Juwan Johnson.
Yeah,
He didn't get the key touchdowns that he should have got.
yeah,
There were
and
some
like
touchdown receptions he should have got, he didn't get.
if he scored, I mean, the scoreboard would have been something different.
Yeah. There's some plays he left on the field.
It would have given the Saints more morale, more boost to like push and win. Their team is pretty cool to me. Like it's decent. They played well.
I feel opposite to you about Arizona. I'm more impressed with the way the Saints played than Arizona. I feel like Arizona felt like they could have. And look, Tyler did not play bad in terms of stats. Like, yeah, okay, he had only 160 passing yards, but he had 21. He was 21 of 29, which is a very good completion percentage, right? Unlike Spencer Rattler, who had more passing yards, but was 27 of 46, which is still not bad. But the thing is, I expected more out of Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, right? I felt like the Cardinals came in there thinking they were just, and I mean, maybe they're listening to all people like us, analysts and media people, talking crap about the Saints and how badly they're going to be. The Saints could still be very bad this season, but they're an NFL team. They're men that get paid there to play football, right?
Yeah.
So you got to come with your A game and then only take your foot off the throttle when you have a 2 touchdown, 3 touchdown lead in the fourth quarter, not in the third quarter, because teams can always come back. So I feel kind of separate about it. Regarding Alvin Kamara, I didn't have issues with Alvin Kamara because he's the only one who scored a touchdown for the Saints, I believe. I think the Saints got a defensive touchdown. My own issue is just that I think that the Cardinals almost got beat because they just didn't come in with the kind of energy they should have come in, and they didn't keep their foot up on the throttle. But I was impressed with the way Spencer Rattler, who everybody thinks is an inferior quarterback, played and managed the game. Yeah, Jawan Johnson wasn't able, and Chris Olave were not able to get those last minute touchdowns. They just need to work on that red zone stuff. In the red zone, a lot of teams, here's the thing, as you get closer to the end zone, you know that you know just from playing, it becomes more difficult to pass the ball into the end zone because now there's less covered area to cover, right? And defenders can focus in on those areas. So it becomes more difficult. So that's why you have to have a decent running game. They had a decent running game, but they kind of went away from it. I think they need to focus on putting in, and I think they drafted this kid, Devin Neal. Kendre Miller is also a good running back and return man. I think they need to really focus on giving those boys the ball more and then weaning Alvin Kamara off a little bit early in the season. They want to bring on Alvin Kamara because he's an older running back. They should be looking to bring him more and give him more of the load later in the season. You understand? But establish the running game more by mixing it up with all these three running backs, and then you'll get a better result. Because the more you're able to establish the running game, the more you're able to control the game, the time, and also control the game. So I think that in the red zone, if you have a good running game, that's a very good thing because then you can just run the ball for the touchdown, right? Or do a play action, a quick play action. Do you understand? That leaves teams open.